Yeah, so I kind of want to transition to like because a lot of people are talking about Messi and all this stuff, but not very many people can actually talk about like Inter Miami at the moment because people know the name, they know the brand, they know Beckham, they know all this stuff. And I feel like with our knowledge of like, watching almost every Inter Miami game since its inception, at least I've been pretty close to watching every game. I'm sure you've been pretty close to watching a large majority of the games. We have a good knowledge of like how we think he can fit in here. So I want to bounce it off to you. I guess for the people who don't know, how do you see Messi fitting into this like team from a tactical lineup roster kind of standpoint?
Well, it's definitely gonna depend on who they bring in. That's for sure, because the way the team is and with the injuries and stuff like that, you would have to assume it's not just going to be Messi. Um, Someone else is going to come join him and want to come play with him, whether it be a Busquets or a Jordi Alba or even hearing rumors of Luis Suarez. It's all going to depend. I think let's just assume now that we get to take Messi and put him into the squad right now. He's going to play that 10. He's going to be the creative outlet that we don't have. He would create chances for himself, and more importantly, he would create chances for other players, which I feel like is one of Inter Miami's biggest problems is chance creation. Um, I think that they do not create nearly enough chances, and the chances that they do create um, are not. Let's put it like this: not very high expected goals on the types of chances that they create. Um, and West Ham, oh my God, West Ham just scored a winner, 2-1 in the 90th minute. Wow, we were recording this live during conference league, and West Ham, it was 1-1, and in the 90th minute, West Ham just scored what appears to be a winner. Fiorentina manager is absolutely yelling right now, so something might be looked at, but I'll talk about that in a minute. That just caught my eye. Have to have
We'll
it
talk
on.
about that once we get
Yeah,
down
yeah,
though.
yeah. But yeah. So I think that he's definitely the creative. He needs to be very creative. In that creative role because that's what we're lacking. We saw what happened when we got a Pozuelo last year. Um, just being able to dribble and find those passes and link up with these players, it was such a huge help, and it reinvigorated Higuain. So I think he's going to be doing kind of that role. Also, we're going to get a handful of free kicks are going to be goals now because of him. I mean, he's absolutely incredible, with free kicks. I've seen him practice in an open practice for Barcelona where he and Neymar were just, one after another over a fake wall. And, it just was insane. They would not miss the top corner, just one after another. They did like 20 of them, and it's like all of them hit the top corner, all of them. It's insane. So you're going to get goals from that too. It's not talked about, but those are goals that are going to matter in a tight league, especially the way Inter Miami are doing right now. Um, they're behind. It is tight, but they need to start scoring some goals, start getting 3 points on the board, because I mean we you even see what happened. Not not that they have their own problems, but Toronto, they thought they were going to fix all these issues by getting all these big Italian midseason signings, and they just had such a rough start that even though they did improve, it wasn't enough. So we got to be careful of that, and not fall so deep into a hole that uh, that we can't get
Can't get
saved
out
this
of.
season, and it becomes a lost cause season even with all these signings.
Yeah, one of the big things for me is like so for kind of background for people who don't know, the midfield is very depleted for us. So our attack has remained pretty healthy. We've made some moves on the defensive line to really solidify that. And then we have probably one of the best keepers in the league, arguably the best keeper in the league. So defensively, I think we're pretty solid. I think our left back, Negri, can be kind of exposed at times because he's so committed to being forward and so committed to being attack minded that he gets kind of left it in the dust. And with MLS being a very heavy attacking league with a lot of the money going to the attack, we can get kind of exposed. But I think he will start to now play a more defensive role now that we have a true player who can go up there and create and provide that assistance, whether even scoring, but also feeding Joseph and Campana up top. And we all know Joseph, one of the most prolific scorers in MLS history. I think that he's going to completely change the way he plays forever. Um, and get back on track to what we saw old Joseph when he first came to Atlanta. And then as for Campana, I think Campana is a young talent who showed promise last year, and he's never truly had service through those times he's played, even that little bit that he had playing with Pozuelo as our 10. But throughout most of his goals scored, it was a lot of setup plays, crosses in, like kind of target striker moves. So having that guy in the midfield, we're still going to be depleted. We're slowly starting to get healthy, but our captain's injured, and Gregory, our another big TAM signing, and Gene Mota as our 8 is still injured. So, like I said, I think, like you said, there's still going to be moves. I don't think Messi's it. There's going to be more. There
Yeah,
has to be more.
there's no way.
And it's part of the reason why we're at the bottom of the table right now is just one, due to Phil Neville's tactics, I think just weren't good. I think this team is better than what they actually are in the standings. But then two, we suffered from injuries, which from our captain and our midfield, and our midfield's so depleted, we're dealing with academy players right now. So we're kind of hamstrung. So right now, I think, yeah, Messi's the start, but I think there's going to be more to come. I really do. And we can talk a little bit more about that in a second after we're done with this thought. But so I expect more signings, but how he slots into this, he in a league like MLS, I don't think, for those who don't really watch MLS is a very pacey league. Like it's very go, go, go. Not, it's very at a lot of athleticism that requires in this league. And what we've seen before, when you have these older European players that come over here to retire, quote unquote, they can't generally keep up. There's too many young players that are constantly moving, constantly going. We even heard it from players like Ricky Pooch who come over here and he's like, he feels like he's running 5 more kilometers more a game. It's just, it requires so much more athleticism. So I don't think he can necessarily play in a wing in this league, but I think the 10 spot in a 4-4-2 diamond would be at the tip of the diamond is absolutely perfect with him. Having that combination with Campana and Joseph and him, it's just going to be, to me, I think is going to be one of the most deadly attacks in the league, if not the most deadliest attacks. Messi, to me, is not washed up. He still has so much talent and capability left in his game. I mean, he scored 20 goals and 20 assists. Even if he doesn't score, and that was with PSG,
and also just coming off a World Cup win. I mean, he was definitely instrumental in that.
Yeah, so I mean, even if he doesn't score a lot, the creativity and the through balls that he'll be able to provide to our 2 strikers up top is just going to be monumental. I think he's going to be an assist machine in this league. I think he's going to score goals. I think he can get close to 20. Based off what I'm predicting his position will be. I don't know. I mean, maybe they play him more up top and maybe play him as a second striker. Maybe they bounce Campana out and have him up with Joseph, or maybe bounce Joseph out and have him up with Campano, one of the two. But I think due to us not really having a 10 at the moment, he's going to slot in there. And I think they're probably going to run the 2 striker formation since we don't really have wingers. We've kind of set up this team to play around 2 strikers and have dual 8s and a 10. So I think he's going to slot in there perfectly. I think it's going to do extremely well in the attack. But they still need firepower in the midfield. Our backup 6 that came in to replace our captain has hamstring tightness and had to get out of the game. So that's super depleted. So that's where a lot of the Busquets talks is coming from. But yeah, look, Messi doesn't fix the team, but he does. Even if we say we add no other players, I think no matter what, we become a playoff team. This is a guy who had 1 to 2 goal contributions a game at PSG. I guarantee you he's going to double that here in the MLS. Our scoring is going to go through the roof, not just from him, but what he's going to provide for Joseph and Campana, relieving the pressure off of both of those guys and being able to feed them the ball. And then, like you said too, we don't have a free kick specialist on this team. We don't have a guy who can go in there and take free kicks outside the box. And now we have probably one of the best players to do it
Oh
in our
yeah,
generation.
absolutely.
Like one of the best players in our generation who can do it. So yeah, I think this is a playoff team, and you better make sure you get Messi in the playoffs at the end of the day. So yeah, that's how I think how he kind of fits into this. I think, like I said, even though we're at the bottom of the table, I think we're better than what we are. But we are still depleted in the midfield, and I think we're going to amplify that more. We're going to
Yeah, I think that's a
increase that
priority
room
for us.
more. It is a priority. I think we need an 8 big time. I think
Mhm.
Messi is now here. It's official. There needs to be an 8. There has to be a high quality 8 who can slot in. I'm curious to see how what they do with the Pizarro situation. I think my guess, you just buy out Pizarro, you get him out. That rule is now in place. They implemented this year. MLS said you can buy out players in the summer transfer window. I think it's pretty much a given that Pizarro is going to get bought out.
Yep.
I mean, you have to.
100%.
You
Yep.
got to clear him out. You got to get rid of him and free up that DP spot. You're going to buy down Gregory's contract. Now Messi and Campana are going to be your 2 DPs. That leaves you with one more spot open for. Look, I don't want to see Busquets, but it sounds like that might be the case. But I'd rather get a younger player who can actually keep up with the pace, because if Busquets just does not. After talking about how Messi can't play in the wing in this league, Busquets cannot play in this league. We've seen it with Blaise Matuidi. Blaise Matuidi came from Juve over here, and it's going to be a Blaise Matuidi situation all over again. He
Yeah.
couldn't keep
And
up.
for
He was gassed. He was tired. And at the end of the day, as much as people dog on this league from Europe, and even here, at the end of the day, it's a league that rewards athleticism. You're going to run a
yes.
lot in this league. And we already seen Busquets just absolutely slow as molasses out there during the Champions
Yeah.
League, during La Liga. He's a dinosaur out there, man. Like
Yeah,
even
and
in
from what
Europa League, he's
from
still
what I'm
slow.
hearing from people who know Busquets and know Barcelona very well, I've heard that it's like, yes, he's if you design your team in a way and you need pressing and you don't have anyone that can do it around someone like Busquets, he's not going to do well. But if you can set up your tactic and have people and make it so a way that he can be more of an anchor and he doesn't have to press, then it could work out and he can actually be an asset in the league. Um, but yeah, so
I,
hopefully
wa-
we
I
learned our lesson from Matuidi, because I don't have a problem with Busquets coming with already having Messi locked up, but he is you have to understand he's not going to be pressing, he's not going to be tracking back like full speed if you get caught out. So you have to be able to put people around him and set up the tactic in a way that's going to be able to benefit him and let him be kind of like almost like an extra center back and who could play on the ball and start counters.
so I have a theory. I think this team is going to switch to a 4-2-2-2 because I found out the other day that I don't know if you know this, and I don't know if maybe it was just a backup plan in case the Messi thing fell through, but Pozuelo, who was the player that we got rid of for the hopes that we get Messi, and probably big part of the reason why we're in last place. We kind of, in a way, the owners kind of tanked this first half of the season to get Messi here. But I did find out that Pozuelo only signed a 6-month contract, and his contract's up June 30th. So could we potentially see Campana, Joseph, Messi, and Pozuelo in a box in the top of the 2-2, and then we just roll a 6 and an 8 in the
You know,
back?
it's hard.
That would unlock in so much like
you just in our
passing like
brain,
that.
if you were to ask me, like my brain says no, that wouldn't happen. But you think it makes sense because if you think about the whole situation, it's not like the club wanted him to go. They absolutely, I
They
mean, come on
tried to
now.
keep him,
They wanted to keep him, but
and
it
also too,
ultimately
I
came
heard,
down to Pizarro. If
and
Pizarro didn't have that contract and they had a way or someone who would take him, then they would have kept Pozuelo. So
and
they
also
wanted him.
suppo
He liked it here too. He would have stayed. It just didn't work out.
and
So
also
that's why it
supposedly
is absolutely
too.
possible.
Well, here's another thing too. So I didn't know this, but Pozuelo, the contract, he was willing to take a lot less money. He still wanted to be a DP, but he would just be just above that threshold to where he wouldn't be a TAM player. He was taking so little money just to stay. He wants to stay. His girlfriend or his baby mama lives in Miami. And also too, he has still expressed interest in coming back. He's talked about coming back. I felt like there was talks because the Inter Miami Pozuelo thing happened on really good terms. Apparently, he understood what they were trying to do. He was trying to have a team friendly deal. He really wants to stay in MLS. He took a short deal in Turkey. Apparently, like, I mean, there was a second there where we thought he was going to resign. He took a photo of pink cleats out at the beach or something like that in Miami. I'm just saying I wouldn't rule it out. I think it's still a possibility because of how well he was received here, how well the team appreciated him and tried as hard as they can to keep him and try to keep him as a TAM player. Because apparently, what he would got paid for a TAM player was just too little for him. But he was willing to take a little bit higher, and I just think it's a possibility, man. Like I could see like a 2-10, two striker formation. I mean, you're going super heavy attack, but I think we have a strong enough keeper and back line. And if we can get our defensive midfielders some strength to that, the only big thing that would prevent that from happening though is if Busquets comes, which I just feel like it's a waste unless you can get Busquets on some sort of TAM deal like they did with Gareth Bale. That'd be crazy, but I just don't see it happening.